Thank you so much for being here and joining me for our annual themes event. Can you believe that another year has gone since our last one, our themes for 2023? It's kind of hard to take in that it's 2024 already. There's so many of you joining us live today. We've had record number of people join us to register for this event, and I just am in so much gratitude and in awe of all of you who have chosen to join us here for this message. As you know, you are all co-creators for whatever comes through from the masters today. So I'm just going to start a little bit with a little bit of housekeeping here, just so that we're all clear about how today is going to proceed. I can see in the chat bar there, if you'd like to say hello, please do so in the chat bar today. We've got people from all over, so it's wonderful to see you all. Gosh, our global family is just growing, and I actually felt quite emotional just before coming on today, because I think for many people, in the sense of not knowing and confusion and turbulence of 2023, even if you've been surrounded by people, you've probably been feeling a sense of isolation. So I was feeling a little bit of emotion welling up just before we went live today, feeling you all, and feeling how beautiful it is to feel the opposite of isolation in this space with you. So today we are going to be bringing through quite an in-depth message, I believe, from the masters. They always give us lots to think about for the year when we come through with the themes message. For those of you who are unfamiliar with me and what I do, my name is Dawson, and I've been channeling the masters for nearly 30 years. They are masters Saint Germain, Kuthumi, and Serapis Bay, and sometimes others that come through. And they will be coming through today and bringing through the message. As that happens, you'll see the tone of my voice change a little bit, and you'll certainly, if you're sensitive, feel the vibration of the words that come through. Of course, the recording, if you're registered, will be coming to you in an email tomorrow. And I do believe we will eventually have this up on YouTube as well, and on the website for everyone to engage with. So if you would like to explore a little bit more about what we do, please check out our website. That's my name, RebeccaDawson.com. There's lots of free material there on the Explore page. If you're interested in engaging with us every month for insight seminars and conversations with the masters and myself, feel free to explore joining our membership as well. That seems to be where most of our action is happening these days, and I just love joining with you live every month for those explorations. So today we are going to be making use of the chat bar, but I will not be engaging with the Q&A. So if you see that Q&A button at the bottom of the screen there that you're on, please don't feel inclined to use it, because I won't have it open and I won't see what's in there. I will be looking at the chat bar. However, as I'm sure you can appreciate, while I'm in channel, it can be a little bit difficult to also see what's happening in chat at the same time. And because I am a one-man band full of multiple aspects of source, I am going to suggest that feel free to pop comments and feedback in the chat bar if you wish. However, we're going to reserve the Q&A part of today to when the masters invite those questions in. And that's likely to be into the second half of today's message. So when the masters invite questions, that's when you're free to put some in. And as I'm sure you can appreciate, it's unlikely that we will get to all of the questions. I always move to them as I am guided. And I hope that the questions that are asked today, I would ask that they are for the benefit of all, and that they're very collectively based. So it's less about your personal experience and more about what's happening for the planet. However, what we do find, of course, is what's happening for you personally tends to be a collective theme anyhow. So on that note, I would love to dive in with you. Thank you so much for being here and creating this message. as you know, the messages that come through vibrationally for whatever is presenting in our space, which means that depending on your essence, your consciousness, and your presence today, that will create the message for you personally. Also, I would recommend that you listen to this message at least a couple of times, because as with all of the Master's messages, there tends to be many different layers in it. And particularly with our themes event, we find that the content unfolds over the year and has more meaning to it as we move into the year ahead. So 2023. The theme for 2023 last year, as I recall, was expect the unexpected. And I do feel that for many of us, if not most of us, that expect the unexpected was not just in external experiences and circumstances, but it was also expect the unexpected within. And I'm not quite sure that we had a clear grasp of that at the beginning of 2023. But for sure, most people that I've spoken to, and people that are close to me and people that have been contacting me, and indeed in my own experiences, it was really the unexpected internal shifts that created the most transformation and perhaps were the most shocking to all of us. I don't think that ever in the 30 years or so that I've been speaking to people with the Masters and checking in on where people are and their experiences, never have I experienced such a huge proportion of people who are in a place right now where they really don't know what their direction is or why they're here anymore. So a lot of those internal expect the unexpected expected situations in 2023 really shifted humanity as a whole into, well, I thought this was who I was, I thought this is what I was here for, and now I'm completely disillusioned. But disillusioned, of course, is where we want to be. So at the end of 2023, I think it was in the members webinar in November, I believe it was, the Masters actually gave us a little heads up for 2024, which they never do. And what they actually suggested is that 2024 is going to be the year where we start to see new patterns appear. We start to see new structures and systems appear after so many years, such a big stretch, really, of dissolution and the breaking down of patterns, identities, who we thought we were, systems and structures that we thought were reliable, ideas we had about ourselves being reliable in certain roles and responsibilities. So I thought that was fantastic to hear personally, because sometimes, I don't know if you're like me, sometimes you wonder if there's anything else to break down. Oh, there's something else. And I mean within ourselves or within what's going on around us. So I'm super keen and eager to hear what 2024 is in terms of structure. So on that note, I feel like I've talked a lot. I don't normally talk this much, but that's new also. So let's dive in and see where we go. Blessed ones, greetings to you. We are with you. And you, of course, are your reality. Humanity will continue to ask questions in 2024 about what reality is. And indeed, this is going to become very clear to you, not only in the context of your own personal reality, but also in scientific platforms, also within governmental structures, also within what you believe your religious and ideological institutions are. What reality really is the question. And so 2024, in our view, is the year of the great question. And the great question, of course, is what is real?
And this is wonderful in our view, because humanity as a whole can only arrive at such a question once there has been enough space cleared for that question to even arise. When one is completely committed and focused to old concepts, ideologies, patterns, and perspectives, there is no space for the question. So we would begin our delightful conversation with you on this day with encouraging you in 2024, the year of the question, to ask questions. And these questions, of course, are not about what is already in existence. These questions are about the nature of existence. And these questions are about what yet doesn't exist. So, of course, everything that you have been experiencing, and indeed the planet have been experiencing in the last 8 to 15 years especially, has been a gradual untethering, a gradual unhooking of your consciousness, intentions, and attention on what is already established, so that these questions can be asked. And when the questions are asked, newness arises. You will see that within your judicial systems, your political, economical, and judicial systems in 2024, there will be many great questions being asked. And they won't be questions necessarily about accountability, because you've had a strong theme of accountability in recent years. And what you have perhaps noticed about accountability is it is an important experience to bring about exposure, but accountability can also create a sense of division. And what we mean by that is that those that demand accountability can oftentimes lead themselves into a place where there is a division between two parties of interest. This may perhaps challenge many who will be listening to this message, but let us say that the sense of accountability in a more matured consciousness begins to shift to a place of then what? Now what? What is a solution? What is a refinement? What is another way? What else is possible? Because reckoning or attempting to balance or attempting to compensate or attempting to seek retribution or perhaps a sense of punishment through equalization can, within a human framework of egoic structure, continue to create divide. Therefore, you have seen in recent years great sense of division around accountability and a great sense of division around the exposure of perceived injustices and perhaps systems that are not what we would consider beneficial for the evolution of human consciousness. We say these things to you to make a clear distinction between what you have been experiencing as exposure within your political and judicial systems that have then resulted in more division and reckoning. Now the question becomes, what else could we do? What else can we do? Now what? Now the question becomes, how do we do this in a more conducive way for the expansion of humanity? And this is where this questioning becomes less about condemnation and less about crime and punishment, and it becomes more about an investigation into potentials. And indeed, this is the breath of fresh air that is going to elucidate many new leaders and many new systems of thought in 2024 and beyond. So on our theme of asking the question, if you do have within your awareness questions that are being asked. If you do have in your awareness events within your reality or within yourself where things are coming to light, where there is exposure, we would encourage you to place your attention on asking the question, well, what else then? Then what else is possible? If this has not been beneficial for humanity, then what is? So in a very linear sense, this is about focusing on new solutions rather than the illumination and the exposure of that which has created division. This is where that exposure now lands, and now what? So the grace within your own expression is in many ways elevated into a new innovative approach for life. And you want to be innovative because you want to be creating your new reality in 2024. This is where there is space for it. If you are elevating your view to, well, that's it come out, that's exposed, that has failed, that has been unfortunate or abhorrent, or whatever those judgments that the human dualistic mind places upon things that are perceived to have failed, rather than making that judgment, your awareness is now saying, well, that was that, now what else could we do? And so the visionary style leadership that you begin to see in 2024 are the new shoots coming through the soil. It will be very tempting for you to be focused upon what your media experiences are showing you about that which is falling, that which has been caught, that which is being vilified, that which has been abhorrently exposed. But placing your attention on what is that making way for, then what else, then what else, then what else, will allow you to actually begin to experience the new growth of this new earth reality that you have been feeling within yourself, but you have perhaps not been experiencing out in the collective consciousness. You are the leaders. If you are listening to this, your consciousness has already brought you into the new. Do you focus on the branches that are falling from the tree, or are you focusing on the new shoots that are appearing? Now, how is this unfolding within the environment of your Earth reality in 2024? Again, there will be things that are exposed and brought to the surface. And as such, there will be, of course, more exposure about what you call pollution, what you call that which is being buried and now seeps to the surface in a very tangible environmental sense. But again, the question is, well, if that was not conducive to the earth experience, now what? And so very tempting again to direct your attention at the vilification and the failure of humanity. But blessed ones, we say to you, you are the flag bearers for hope for what comes next. And so if there is a proportion of the human collective consciousness that is asking the question, like an innocent child, I wonder what else we could do now. I wonder what else. I wonder what else is possible. Then you, in your presence, are providing an energetic and vibrational field for newness to begin to arrive in 2024. And it's a very, very quick transition. 2024 is a year of contrasts. And it's a year of contrast because you will see things collapse and you will see things emerge very quickly. So it is not a time to be in fear about things collapsing. In truth, blessed ones, things will only collapse in your earth reality if there is already something ready to take its place. Now, this is perhaps something you had not considered, because in many contexts of spiritual rhetoric and in many messages that have been expressed and many divine interpretations through your human self of this transition, it is easy to interpret that perhaps there is a great systemic collapse and calamity, and there is a period of time, and there is some suffering, and there is some loss, and then there is a gradual beginning. Well, let us say this to you. We have always said that this particular shift in consciousness is not like any shift that humanity has experienced in what you call the history of your planetary consciousness. Humanity has experienced many times a cycle of evolution whereby humanity ultimately comes to a crisis point. There is cataclysm, and then humanity must begin again. And there is a period of time where things become very quiet. You may call this an ice age. You may call this a great flooding. You may call this a great meteoric event. What we would call it is a resetting of human consciousness that occurs through the physicality of your third dimensional reality. Now, hear us very clearly. This particular shift is the first time that humanity is able to have a complete movement in consciousness from one version of reality collectively to another without the requirement of complete physical cataclysm. Well, of course, this would make sense to you if you truly embrace this notion of moving from third dimensional reality to a fifth dimensional reality. Because remember, fifth dimensionality still embraces third dimensionality. You widen your spectrum of vibrational presence. So you still maintain physical form, but your view of reality shifts. Now, it hasn't happened before because previously humanity has had to discontinue its physical reality and then begin another physical reality because there was no shift from third dimensional experience. Remember that cycles occur within third dimensional experience. So this is the first time that humanity now moves beyond third dimensional reality, which means that you witness the collapse and the breakdown and the exposure of that which is no longer beneficial to the expansion of human consciousness. And as that occurs, you begin to become aware of what is beneficial to human consciousness, which means that this is the first time that you are able to actually move quite gracefully from that which begins to dissolve to that which begins to appear. And this is perhaps a relief to many of you, but we say to you that enough of the collective human consciousness has moved into a greater bandwidth of vibrational frequency to enable this to occur. And therefore, let us say this to you. Everything that you think that you know now, every system that you use, most of the technology that you use, most of the knowledge base that you have acquired is likely to become superseded within the next 5 to 8 years. So if you are feeling as if, I don't know what to do next, Should I increase my skills? Should I move into this direction? Should I move into that direction? It's very difficult for your consciousness to make a clear choice about what that direction is based on what you already know, because the entire human collective consciousness is about to move into a new era of expansion that will supersede everything as you know it on this day. And it happens very quickly. So if you know this, you will be very aware of keeping your focus on what is emerging, what is beginning to become new in the world, what newness is arriving. It doesn't mean to say you deny what has been exposed and what's being brought to the surface. You can acknowledge that it exists, and then you ask the question, I wonder what will emerge now then. I wonder what is waiting already within this new vibrational resonance to replace it. Because if you are no longer in a cycle encased in third, fourth dimensional time space, you do not need to go through a complete loss and decimation and build and start everything all over again. That's why humanity has this sense of amnesia, because when that cycle begins again, all of that knowledge is gone and forgotten. Now, if you consider how through a period of many thousands and hundreds of thousands of years, humanity moves through that cycle and then begins again, and it's all forgotten. Consider for a moment, if we say to you that this is happening in the next 5 to 8 years, and it happens so quickly, you can have an experience where you're so focused on everything new that's occurring that you don't experience the cataclysmic sense of loss and grief. Now, it's not to say that grief has not been an experience for many of you. Grief has been an incredibly palpable experience for each and every one of you, particularly within the last 8 months. 2023 was about a lot of grief. It was expecting the unexpected within you that resulted in many of you having to release grief. Grief about who you thought you were supposed to be. Grief about certain experiences in your life. Grief about the loss of a dream. Grief about so many things. Many of you were just grieving for humanity in general. Now, it's happened within so many of you in such an intense way in recent months, because that's the acceleration experience of that evolutionary cycle where humanity goes through a cataclysm event and then starts again. If you have a very long cycle that occurs and that's sped up over time into a very short space of time, because as the vibration increases, the cycle increases until it looks like it's just a pulse. And so what happens is that you begin to pulse in and out of your experience. You're engaged with life and now you're not interested. You feel enthusiastic and now you have no motivation at all. And so you've all been experiencing this life and death pulse because humanity is going through the most rapid evolution of consciousness it's ever experienced without a physical reset. It truly is a marvel. Humanity is truly marvelous. So if you feel as if everything's been intensifying, it's because 300,000 years worth of cycle is suddenly happening in a very short period of time. If you could imagine a spiral spinning so fast, it begins to pulse. And then suddenly you're in a completely new experience. So asking the question, in our view, is your most valuable tool, invitation, and opportunity to begin to move your own awareness, focus, and attention into now what is appearing. And don't be concerned, and to not be concerned about what you have lost, to not be concerned that you don't know where you're going. Indeed, it's a challenging time for any of you to commit to anything. 2023 was a very difficult time to commit to anything, and many of you changed your minds. Many of you ended up where you didn't think you would. Many of you let go of that which you didn't think you would let go of. Many of you began new things that didn't have longevity to them. So 2024 is, now that we are in many ways freed up within yourself, there's been a lot of grief that's freed up a lot of space within you. This is now, I cannot commit to anything externally, but I can commit to asking the question within myself. And this is where you become, once again, a pioneer. Pioneers go out into the world. They don't know where they're going, but they know that there's a new life for them to experience. And so the pioneer is where you are. Perhaps 2024 is the year of the pioneer. The pioneer is always asking the question, what's around this corner? I wonder what can be done here. I wonder what will grow out of this earth. I wonder, I wonder, I wonder. Notice the subtle distinction between the explorer and the pioneer. Because the explorer is one who goes and explores and has no intention of actually creating a life there. The pioneer is the one that is actually willing to anchor themselves there, to walk the earth, to actually create life there. And it's not to say that the pioneer is ready to settle, but they are ready to be in a state of discovery, to say, well, now we are here. Now we are in this expanded state of reality. Now we are superseding the vibrational bandwidth that humanity has been in for the last 330,000 years. And I am here. Will I make a life here? What am I willing to do here? What life do I want to create? You are pioneers of a new reality. And you are superseding very quickly that which has already occurred. So 2024 is the year to be the pioneer in your new reality. It's the year to ask the question. Many of you will relocate. Many of you will begin new interests. Many of you will create new friendships and relationships because you are now in the pioneering phase of this new reality. It is through your devotion to the divinity within yourself. It is your unconditional love for this earth reality and humanity that has enabled you to sit in grace and to actually, within the sacred space of your own vibration, go through a revolution and evolution of human consciousness. What you have done within yourself in the last 5 to 8 years is you shifting consciousness within yourself on behalf of humanity. And we thank you. And this is no longer about bearing the pain. And this is no longer about going through the cataclysmic breakdown of identity within yourself. Because 2024 is about pioneering. And it is with our great gratitude that we thank you for your presence. We thank you for your willingness to be, to offer your own sacred sanctum and space as a point of transformation. It has felt very personal to you. But what you have been experiencing within yourself as personal has been the collective shift. Because shifts in consciousness do not occur in an external reality. They occur within the sacredness of the divinity within you. That's where all the action is. That's where it's all been. All the war has been within you. All the conflict has been within you. All the shame and the guilt has been within you. You have been facilitating the collective shift for humanity, and we are in gratitude. And now it is time to pioneer, blessed ones. That's what we say to you. 2024, ask the question. Be like children. You're in a completely new reality. Ask the question. What is this? Where are we? What happens next? I wonder what this is. Be the pioneers, because where the pioneers go, others follow. You discover new lands. Your community follows you. It will become difficult to be settled in 2024. Not likely for many of you until 2025, 2026 and beyond. However, enjoy your time pioneering. You don't want to settle too quickly, because if you settle too quickly into new routines and new habits and new lifestyles and so on, it's very easy for you to default to what you knew. So continue to be curious and ask the questions. Be like children. And you will discover the grace of the divine furnishes all your requirements. Just as an innocent child wanders around and does not think where the next meal comes from, where the care and the safety will be, they are merely guided by the curiosity of divine consciousness within them. And so we say to you, be like children of the new reality. You are the children of the new reality. Be innocent. Laugh often. Be diligent in your curiosity. For it is your curiosity and the lightness of your explorations that will enable you to supersede what has come before you with ease and grace. There is a whole new set of systems, structures, technologies, communities, methodologies that are already waiting to be discovered. The more human attention falls upon them, the easier it is for humanity to simply transition. Very well, blessed ones. We are aware that there are some questions for us. And so in this moment, we invite questions from you. How long will we continue to feel the gap with others? Well, you feel the gap, blessed one, when you are focusing on what you are superseding. Now, you may say, well, there is a gap with loved ones, there is a gap with relatives, there is a gap with other people in my community or other people in this planetary experience because I'm waiting for people to be more like me. What we say to you is this: even with those that you have become disconnected from, you can experience a superseded, an upgraded version of them if you become like a pioneer. So this is all about discovering what is resonant with you. And if you are very clear about asking the question, well, that person wasn't suited to me, or this family member I have moved away from, or I don't feel that I fit in here, I wonder what is now available, that's asking the question. As soon as you ask the question, you begin to bring your awareness to what is newly available. So that's what we say to you, because there is no separation. There's only a question of where is your attention? Is it on what has broken down, or is it on what is now emerging? It's a very buoyant year for new connections. It's a very buoyant year for new associations. That's what we say to you. 2024. Pioneering, asking the question, discovering others. What is the future of AI and machine learning in 2024? Well, in our view, and we have suggested this previously, what you call artificial intelligence can be an extensionary tool for human consciousness if you are really beginning to allow human consciousness to flourish in its creativity. So what we are speaking about with this incredible transition, where within the next 5 to 8 years, everything you know suddenly becomes superseded, such technologies such as what you call artificial intelligence, in our view, nothing is artificial, everything is of consciousness, enables new systems and platforms to be able to create that humanity can begin to participate with in a more, what we would call, equitable, decentralized manner. Will we experience the oneness with our galactic family connections this year? Well, as we have suggested with you, all of the shift for humanity you've been feeling and experiencing within yourself, and all of the grief and the loss within yourself, and your experience with the galactic family is no different. That is also to be experienced within yourself, which means that there is more, if it is a desire that you have and a curiosity that you have and you're asking questions about it, it becomes more available to you. And so therefore, in your pioneering stance for 2024, the question is, I wonder what can happen about this, and isn't this interesting? I am curious as to what will arise within me about this. Always happens within. How does the role of the pioneer translate in terms of work and income? Well, as we have already suggested, when you are being the pioneer, you're completely focused on discovery. You're completely in that childlike sense of, I wonder what this is. I wonder what this is. And so there's less focus upon how you will be serviced. Pioneering is not about survivalism. It is about creating a life. And so when you are focused on creating a life, that creative energy begins to inspire and spark magnetic fields of attraction within this new reality that allows many more things to be revealed to you. When humans talk about scarcity, they often talk about scarcity in terms of specific commodities and income. But in our view, scarcity is about a scarcity of newness. And if you have a scarcity of newness, you feel as if you are in lack. So if you want to dequantify and get out of a linear arrangement of a view of work and income, we would say, be concerned about a scarcity of curiosity. Because where you have a scarcity of curiosity or newness, it can translate into a scarcity of work and income. Work and income is certainly not enough to sustain the curious human spirit, is it not? What's the best way to perceive changes? In the now moment, there is no change. Change is only where there is linearity. So how to position ourselves in order to choose a beneficial linearity that will help us expand more. So change, when humans talk about change and they talk about it in terms of linearity, they compare. It was this and now it's this. There's a change. However, when we speak about discovery and newness, we're so focused on what's happening in the now moment, there's no demand for your attention to be taken back to history to then compare it. Because then you're measuring, then you're in comparison. And when you're measuring, you're in the Maya. The Maya is the measurement, the distance between 2 points. So therefore, change in this new energy, and what a wonderful question. Change in this new energy is about discovery. And when you're discovering something, you're completely there in the moment with it. You're completely fascinated with it, and you've completely forgotten about what came before. Wouldn't you agree? There's no comparison. It has your complete attention. And this can be very difficult when humans are trying to ignite change. Now, when you're trying to ignite change because you want to change something you see that is a problem, you want to improve it, you want to make it better, or you want to remove it, you're not in creation mode. What you're doing is you're trying to create a new permutation of what already exists. If you truly want to have change in your life, move into discovery. Because then if you recall, like being a child, you're opening a present, all of your attention is on that present. You're not comparing that moment to when there was no present. You're not saying, well, this is better than life 5 minutes ago. This is better than when I didn't have a present. All of your attention is there. And that's your reality. Now it exists. So it can be a challenging concept for the human mind, but when you're trying to create change to improve something, it can be very laborious and require a lot of process and time. When you're in the state of discovery, change happens very quickly because all of your attention is there with it, and it can seem almost effortless. Remember, 2024 asking the question, now what? I wonder what will happen now. Being alone as a light worker, how can we know with confidence how we are doing? Well, it's interesting because when you're alone, you're more aware of all of the sounds and the nature of energy and history and memory that's swirling around with you. Interestingly, when you're alone and you're empathic, it's often the only time when you actually get a sense to feel what's going on within you, because other times you're sensing everything that's going on around you. Well, interestingly, the human experience is like an echo chamber. It actually amplifies everything. So when you're alone and you're empathic and you're sensitive, you can actually now begin to film in a much more louder and amplified way everything that's happening in the collective field. Because remember, you are a representative of that collective field. You are an extension of the one. And so therefore, you become aware of all of the grief and all of the turmoil that's happening within you. Now, based on our conversation with you on this day, you have now understood that everything that you've been feeling in within you is the collective shift that's actually being facilitated within your field of consciousness. So therefore, if you're feeling that within yourself, it's always important to know, well, I am feeling what the collective field is feeling. And if I know that that's what the collective field is feeling, I wonder if I can challenge myself in this moment to feel what I feel like beyond that. And you give yourself permission to just breathe. And then, as we have said, be a pioneer within your own sacred space, explore it, ask the question, well, I'm aware of all of this grief and pain and disappointment and guilt and shame. I wonder what else is in there. And be a pioneer. It's exactly the same principle. Now, if you ask, how are we doing? Well, you can't ask, how am I doing, as a comparative question compared to somebody else. The question would be, where am I in this? Being alone as a light worker, how can we know where am I? And that's when you say, well, I can feel all of this. What else? What else? What else? And it will take you inevitably to the core I am within you. Is there a set or sets of possibilities predestined for discovery and exploration on our planet? There is no predestination. However, there is an inevitability of evolution. Evolution is inevitable. The expansion of consciousness is inevitable because it's the nature of consciousness. There are infinite sets of possibilities and permutations that can occur as a result of that expansion and in that expansion. There have been set blueprints that have been repeated in a multitude of permutations as fractalizations in the last 330,000 years or so, and in the cycles that have preceded that. This superseding of that cycle now allows you to experience aspects of patterns, experiences, and tendencies, patterns of nature, patterns of behavior, patterns of psychology, patterns of sciences that you have not yet been able to experience, sense, or ascertain. So we would say they are blueprints, but they are not contained in the same way. And therefore, these are blueprints of a different nature that allow you to have more scope for how they are experienced, how they are played with, and how they are fractalized. Even your understanding of fractalization is going to be superseded in the next 5 to 8 years because you've only really understood fractalization in a basis of linear calculation. It's going to become very interesting to you. Will the physical body react more favorably to the pioneer phase? Well, it's all a question of giving yourself permission to relax into the nature of discovery. And if you can be in discovery, you're also going to discover new things about your physical body. In other words, oh, I wonder what my physical body can actually do. I wonder what my skin actually does. I wonder what I can actually see. I wonder what this food actually tastes like. Because everything that you have been doing, almost everything you have been doing, has been sensed and perceived from memory. Almost nothing that you have been doing in your human experience is based on what is actually available in the moment. And that's what pioneering is all about. So your physical body, of course, is part of that pioneering discovery. You have so many preconceptions about what your body does, what it's for, what its limitations are, how it functions, how it operates, the mechanics of it. Remember, we said to you that what you know now is likely to be completely superseded in the next 5 to 8 years. This is the most rapid transition of awareness, knowledge, and perception humanity has ever seen. Won't that be interesting? Be pioneers for your body. How long are we going to have this feeling of tiredness? Oh, the fatigue. You're enjoying the fatigue too. Also, this one. The fatigue is only a problem for you if you're still trying to exercise your awareness and attention on that which is no longer of value to you. What you will discover is that as curiosity begins to become ignited within you, your body and your nervous system is very calibrated and very happy with this kind of approach to life. And that's where the life force and the life essence and the life energy now begins to reactivate for you. So notice when you are fatigued, because normally you're fatigued when you're doing things that you've done before that you're not really interested in, and you can be annoyed about yourself, but you're almost certainly not in pioneering mode if you're feeling that fatigue. I've been finding new ways to ferment foods for simple nutrients. Would this produce new types of bacteria to support or sustain us? That's a good question to ask. Perhaps you could pioneer that question. Perhaps within your own body, you will discover the answer to that. I would love to hear more about time, how to manage and navigate time. Well, time, of course, is becoming quite fluid for you. Humans very much like to think that they can control time or not control time. And the question here is never about controlling time or not controlling time. The question is always how to navigate. Because once you learn how to navigate, you can decide to either participate with time or not. It's interesting, isn't it? But that's an entire conversation. Let us say this: the more that you move into now moment, present time, pioneering, question asking approach to living, you will discover that time is not really relevant to you anymore. Why would one wish to manage time unless they feel restricted by it? Interesting, isn't it? Once you're free of time, it no longer becomes something you really want to negotiate with. Will we be having leaders who will prioritize human wellness instead of power, competition, and profit? Well, that's a wonderful question to ask. And as we have suggested, new leadership arises when there's focus on what else could we do. And indeed, there are new leaders that will become apparent to you, most likely towards the end of 2024 and into 2025. What happens to our sense of fear and anxiety? Well, we enjoy the way you have phrased this question because it is a sense. Are you sensing fear and anxiety? Are you sensing it in the collective field? Are you sensing it within yourself? If you can sense it, you can say, oh, there's fear and anxiety. I wonder what else. There's the question. What else is happening in here? And then something else is revealed. It's always a question of asking that question. What else? What else? What else? There's a wonderful story of the one known as the Buddha. And someone comes along and disrespects the Buddha, spits at the Buddha. And the Buddha looks at this one and he says, what else? And what's next? Because in that moment, they are disarming history. They are disarming judgment. And they are pioneering in creating a new experience in that moment. And indeed, in this story, when this person comes along the next day, they are a completely different version, full of respect and grace and honor. Interesting, isn't it? Is there any guidance around how to integrate cosmic energies coming through to support our body's evolution? Well, when it comes to integrating cosmic energies, we want to be very clear that humans can often consider that things come from the outside and come in. We would wish to redirect your attention that things are coming from the inside and emanating out from you. And while that occurs, yes, there are some recalibrations that are occurring genetically, vibrationally, and so on within your human body. What we would say to you is this: a lot of the time, what you're experiencing as tiring or painful is the perceivable contrast between the collective human experience that you have been facilitating and what is new. So it's actually the contrast between the two that you find uncomfortable. If this is so, then we would say to you, rather than focusing on the, oh, it's painful, oh, I'm tired, but what else? We'll immediately bring your senses to the actual, what you call cosmic energy itself, so that you can experience the delight of that, because you are now in questioning and pioneering mode. It's very simple again. As you are beginning to hear, it is the same response to almost all of your questions. We have an important theme that we would wish to reinforce for you. What happens with a past situation you want to change when your focus doesn't remain in pioneer mode? Well, if you're trying to change a past focus, you're not in the present moment. Does the situation shift if our focus remains in pioneer mode? Yes, because now you're discovering what else there is. And once you discover what else there is, you're no longer interested in trying to change what was, because all of your attention is on what is. We do find humor in humans. We are to ask questions. Are we to seek answers? Well, the questions are always open-ended. And if the questions are always open-ended, your delight doesn't come in the answer, it comes in the discovery of more. Because the more realized you become as humans, the more your consciousness expands, you realize there are no definitive answers. And so therefore the delight comes in asking the question, because when you ask a question, it's like invoking your reality to produce something. And then that invites a question, and then that invites a question. And that's a propulsion energy of movement that actually drives you through life. This is the momentum energy of the cosmos. Humans often look to find answers that are definitive, case closed, we're done, next. Rather than this question leads to this, then it leads to this, then it leads to this. It is indeed the very basis of what your sciences in your reality are designed to be and will ultimately become once again. What's a new type of prayer we can engage in? Well, prayer, in our view, is the devotion to self, the inner sanctum, the holy temple that you are, the sacred space of divinity, the extension of the wholeness that you are. And so therefore, a great reverence to the sacredness and holiness of yourself, and a great respect to yourself, in our view, is a very powerful prayer for 2024. You are the divine. Live in the now and pioneer. Yes, we would not recommend at this time that you look at trying to manipulate time. Rather, being in the now moment alleviates you from concerning yourself with time. No necessity for a discernment or judgment, just plain curiosity. Yes. So, blessed ones, exceptionally clear that 2024 is the year of the pioneer, the year of asking the question, the great question that allows you to truly begin to become the forebearers of a human population that now focuses less on correcting mistakes from the past, less on repairing what is broken, and rather moving very quickly and collectively to the new shoots, discoveries, innovations, and systems and structures that are beginning to come into view for you. Equally, within yourselves, it is the same notion. Be aware that there is newness arriving within you, which means that it is very likely that there will be new aspects of your personality that begin to emerge in 2024. New desires, new interests. And it's not about comparing, well, I didn't used to like that and now I did, or I used to like this person and now I don't. It's not about that comparison. It's just about the pure childlike discovery of, oh, what's this? Oh, what am I interested in? Let me bring all of my attention to discovering life. Because remember, this is a new era of reality. There are blueprints now available that have not yet been discovered by humanity. And it's here, and it's here, and it's here. Will you give yourselves permission to be pioneers? Will you give yourselves permission to ask the questions and to be curious so that you can be on the forefront of discovering what is already beginning to reveal itself? So, blessed ones, that is our message for you for 2024. Relax deeply into yourselves. We hold you in great reverence for your mastery in holding physicality, in facilitating the shift of human consciousness within the turmoil of your own inner sanctum. And it is with great love that we embrace you. Peace be with you. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I had no idea what to expect tonight, but what a beautiful message. It's one that I'm certainly going to be listening to again. I encourage you to as well. And please share it with anyone that you feel can benefit from some of the wisdom in there. I thank you all so much for joining me. I look forward to exploring more with you in 2024 as the year unfolds. And I feel so blessed to be here with you. I'm feeling very emotional. I feel the love, and thank you again for all your encouragement and support. I hope that I can encourage and support you in whatever you're going through as well. We're all going through it together. So happy New Year, everyone. And I look forward to pioneering with you in 2024. Big love, everyone.